Hey Photo World, welcome back to another episode here on TakeandTalkPics.com. This is another episode from the former podcast. Please subscribe, hit that notification bell, and join the email list. Let's get to that 1,000 subscriber marker so that way I can add a new video every single week. Enjoy. Photo World, this is a milestone episode number 50, the big 50. We are now over the hill. Thank goodness. I've been waiting for this moment, and I am so excited to see what's next in this big chapter of Take and Talk Pics and the photo world out there. I'm Rob Kruger. Today's featured guest is wedding photographer Anna Jaye Goellner.
I am always learning, and I don't know what I would even define my style as. Always evolving.
Today's featured guest is Anna Jaye Goellner. Anna, are you ready to rock today?
I am ready.
Very nice. Good to have you here. And let me just share a little bit about you from what I know. Anna is a wedding photographer based in Portland, Oregon. Her photography career started with photojournalism, and that is the storytelling approach she uses in her wedding work. Anna stays somewhat quiet and in the background while capturing authentic love stories at each wedding she does throughout the world. As her approach and style is consistently honest, her weddings are far from consistent. Each love story she captures is unique and keeps her on her toes from start to finish. Anna, welcome to Take and Talk Pics.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just a really beautiful style that you have. It seems very tight, and that's all I'm really getting here from what I've found on your website and what I've tried to research about you and the things you've been featured on and the articles you've done for your photojournalism. But could you share with Photo World a little bit more about you?
Sure. Well, I started out as a photojournalist, got a journalism degree at the University of Kansas, and that's really the basis for what I do. Storytelling is really what drew me into photography in the first place, and so I was the photo editor at my college newspaper and worked in newspapers for a couple years out of there. And that was in Kansas City, where I'm originally from. And I moved to Portland and started photographing weddings full time, and that's where I am now. That was very basic. Let me know if you want me to elaborate.
Hey, no, we're going to get to know you a little bit through the questions I have for you and just kind of opening up your photographic journey and finding it out. Can you start us off, though, with a little bit of an inspirational quote or a mantra that you live by or run your business by that keeps you motivated?
Sure. This is a quote that I guess I try to live by, and then also when I was kind of building my business, I kept repeating this to myself in my head so I didn't go too crazy, but just less is more. I think I'm a person who tends to live in my head, and just telling myself that I don't need to be doing everything, that simple is better most of the time, really helps me to get things done and to focus on what's important with my business, but also with my work. Just keeping it simple, stripping it down, keeping it all about the people, just not getting too overly complicated with design or with just like even composing a photograph. I'm always happier with my work when I have a clear focus and just keep it simple.
Yeah.
So less is more.
Oh man, I totally agree with that mantra, that saying. It's perfect. I believe that's what I try to do. I get in my own way, all the time, and try to complicate things. But I've heard an acronym that I try to live by now, KISS. Do you know what it stands for?
I have no idea.
Keep it super simple. Just really kiss it out there, get it basic, and Photo World, trim down, because you start singling out the things that you actually want, and then that's all you need. You don't have to overcomplicate things. It can get too busy, right?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
So on your website, I saw a picture of a young Anna Jaye holding a camera, and I'm just curious of what sparked your interest in photography enough to, pick up the camera and start as a career.
Sure. Well, that picture is funny. I remember as a kid, like I always loved taking pictures, and I wasted probably a lot of my mother's money on disposable camera development because I remember just running around with those guys um, whenever I could. But really, what sparked like a more serious interest in a career in photography was my high school photojournalism class. I had a great professor, and he was very focused on the storytelling aspect and really kind of oh I guess like more of a story would be I remember learning about Dorothea Lange and seeing the her famous Migrant Mother photograph and being super inspired by her work and um, really moved by it. I guess that was one of the first like photographs that I remember feeling super moved by and thinking like, oh, I want to create something like that moves people, that a photograph that like evokes emotion and tells a story. And So yeah, that's kind of where I guess I started thinking, oh, maybe I can make a career out of this and do something that I'm super passionate about. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that migrant mother image kind of hits a lot of us when we see that for the first time. And I think we all get that same thought, I want to create something that intense, something that moves you that much, hopefully without a depression in the background, but, like get
Sure.
the image there, the story in that picture. And
Yeah.
yeah, I had a similar story with my high school stuff starting out, just seeing that one picture that kind of made me go, oh my gosh, I didn't know you could do this with photography. This is awesome, and it just
Yeah.
changed everything. So that's a beautiful story. But your high school had a photojournalism class. It wasn't just a basic photo class. Did you guys have a few different things? I'm jealous.
Um, we had like a basic photo class, and then when you were a senior, you could be in the photojournalism class, and you actually had to like apply and be selected. So it was like kind of a process,
Very
and you
cool.
got to photograph for like the yearbook, and then you also got to photograph for the newspaper. So yeah,
That's
you
awesome.
got to have your picture on your locker, and like it was very cool. And yeah, I thought it was very, very cool for being able to do
Yeah.
that.
Well, it's an elite group. Everybody wants to be a part of that.
Oh, not just anybody could get in, yes.
Awesome. When we're doing this stuff, it comes down that, it is a business. We're trying to make money. We're trying to make a living. And in the business side of things, if we can keep it tight to that, is there something that, you had an idea and you tried it out and it didn't work out? Or, you went into a job and oops, something went wrong, a failure moment, a learning moment that you had that you can recall for us?
Sure. Well, every day is a learning moment for me. That probably sounds kind of like a BS answer, but I'm always learning. Uh, One thing that I think has helped me to stay focused on, I photograph a lot of weddings. I do some other stuff too, but especially right now, it's like high time for weddings, wedding
Yeah.
season. So making lists has been really helpful for me. I've never been like a huge list person, but especially if I'm shooting in a new location, um, getting there early, walking around, and this is primarily for like my post portraits, which are just a small portion of the day, but having like an idea of where I'm going to go and possible things that I'll have the couple that I'm working with doing is really good. So I'll just like on the notepad of my phone make a little list of, oh, let's walk over here and maybe they'll do this and um, maybe we'll come over here and I'll have them like do this action. Just kind of like pre-thinking everything in that way has been really helpful for me because my style is really, it's very in the moment. I'm mostly just there to document and not do a lot of directing because that's just me. I'm in the background. I'm just there capturing whatever's happening. Um, so I guess that was the most challenging part for me was the portrait part of the day. So having that organization helped me, just like a loose organization, because I still like to keep it real and keep it simple and make them be themselves. But having like a little bit of basis for what I'm going to be doing is really helpful. So
Yeah, just to clear it up a little bit for myself, just so
Yeah.
I'm not confused. When was there a time where, before you started scouting it out a little bit, earlier in the day or something, where you just kind of were a little scattered and lost, and the work wasn't as good as you wanted, or can you bring us to a
Well,
time where it wasn't working at first, something like that?
I've always been a big planner, but it was more like in my head planning. And so I think sometimes I can get caught up in like a moment when I'm with a couple, um, and um, and having things written down and knowing, oh, this is what I was thinking that I was going to do before, and this
Yeah.
is still going to work, so let's do it.
All right.
Um, I haven't really like had any um, big failure moments, praise the Lord, but but I think it definitely helps. Um,
Well, not so much a big one because those are hopefully few and far between. But
sure.
just a little thing like, oh darn, I forgot the memory card, or something like, I don't know, I didn't charge my batteries and now I gotta stretch it a little bit or something.
Yeah. Um, no, I'm very. I have a checklist in my glove box, and before every wedding, I go through my checklist. It has, memory cards, batteries, extra memory cards. So I guess I've become quite a list person
All
because
right,
I'm really
I'm not gonna push the matter anymore because I think you've given us a few good tools here that say,
oh good.
there's some value in organization. And I've met a lot of photographers. I've worked with a few photographers who are just so disorganized. They have junk all over their car, and it's like,
Sure.
why are you struggling to find a certain lens? That's a weird problem to have to me. Like, don't you just have it in its place and that's it? I don't know.
Sure.
So, I think it's good that you brought that for Photo World. Just like, you know what? It's okay to get organized and even over organized. Make a couple lists. Make sure you know your checklist for your gear, your checklist for your shots. Because, yes, every wedding's different. Every job is different. But we have the same few that we go to in case we're like, okay, what do I do here? You know what? I'm going to go to those box of tools that I have in my back pocket and just reach out on a few shots here, and
Exactly.
keep it
And I've
moving.
found that helps me to relax and be able to feel like I'm not super crazy organized. Being over organized helps me relax in my headspace, I guess, if that makes any sense. Because I know that, oh, it's all okay. So I can just relax.
I'd say it makes sense, but I feel like everything in my mind's so chaotic. I don't know if I can keep up with that kind of.
It's still pretty chaotic for me too, but that makes me feel
It's an
better.
organized chaos.
Yes, exactly.
So we have a wide range of photographers listening here, Anna, and could you please share with them, photo world out there, one thing you think would lead to growth and success in a photography business, regardless of their current level?
Just doing what you like, being passionate about what you're doing, being authentic. Because if you don't like what you're doing and you're not passionate about what you're doing, you can't get other people excited about what you're doing, probably. So really just having a passion for what you're doing, and just always being nice to people. It's so important to just be friendly and be nice. And yeah, it's very simple, but I
And
think it's just
those two go together really well because if you're passionate about it, you have this like deep love for what you're doing, and you would do it. If we could, we would all do it for free because we love it so much, but we know we can't. But you have
sure.
the same approach in your mind and your heart about it to just be nice and genuine and real because this is something you enjoy, and it is a pleasure that we're able to make a living in today's world with what we're doing as artists, as photographers.
Yes.
So I think those two marry very well together.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
No, that's good. That's good advice for Photo World to, kind of just take a step back, not make it all about the money, and just make it about your people, make it about you, developing your own personality into your job because that's mostly what they're hiring when they're hiring a photographer. They're hiring the person, not the pictures.
Right. They're hiring you, yes. You're going to be there with them for a wedding. I mean, all day on a really big day, a really emotional day. So you want to bring happiness to that and not something stressful or negative.
Right. Yeah. Can you share with Photo World a time where you felt kind of, I made it as a photographer? Now, I don't think there's just one big high point in our careers that's like, oh my gosh, I made it. This is it. This is the one. But I think there's a bunch of little ones, these little victories that kind of show up and validate what we're doing as photographers. Can you bring us to a story where that might have happened for you?
Yeah, I don't really have like a story, but I guess the point where I felt like I made it was when I realized that I was making a living, making enough money to survive on
Yeah.
just through my photography, um, which was really nice. And another thing kind of going along those same lines is like I get almost all of my business now through referrals, and that's just very validating. For me, not having to advertise or like really push myself out there, because first of all, I'm like awful at putting myself out there and advertising myself. It's just, I just cringe at the thought of that. but but having people who have worked with me, tell me they love my work and recommend me to other people, is super validating.
Yeah, well, bring me to that time, because it's not like, you're 12 weeks into it and you're like, oh,
Sure.
I've been making my living off of this. I mean, you were running the numbers one day and you're like, hang on a second, I think I could do this,
Right.
What?
Well, doing taxes.
That's when it hits you. Awesome.
Because I have to actually look at the numbers.
Not too many people are smiling when they're doing their taxes, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, no, I guess you're right. Taxes aren't all that bad. But it was probably, I started my business 5 years ago, so I guess like the third summer that I was shooting, I was pretty set and realized, oh, this is what I'm doing now, and it's working. So
yeah,
yay.
Yeah, something in that tax session where you're realizing, self-employed, hey, the more I gotta pay on taxes, the more successful I am here. That's a cool. It's a weird phenomenon.
Bittersweet.
Yeah.
Texas and Oregon are the worst.
So during
That's okay though.
Oh yeah, it's part of the game,
Yeah.
So during your photography career so far, what is the best advice you've ever received?
Best advice I've ever received. I'm kind of going back to like, as far as owning my own business, like you learning that you are the business. That you're not just, people aren't just looking at your work, they're looking at you, and just knowing how important that is, I guess. I'm a very shy person. Even just doing this podcast, I was hesitant because I'm very quiet, or I tend to be. So kind of just learning that, like, I don't know where I'm going with this. You've got to really like kind of own your work in a way, and stand behind it. Like I said, I've always been quiet and not super like pushy about like what I'm passionate about, and but you kind of have to be, because people want that. They want to see that you are passionate about what you're putting out there. So that was a little bit of a step for me, just like showing a little bit of myself in that way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a weird thing when your eyes get open to that and you realize, if I don't care about this the most out of everyone, then not many people are going to care about it. So
right.
And you're not pushing them into believing you anything. You're trying to prove that, yes, I really do stand by what I do as a photographer.
Yes, exactly.
It took me years, and it wasn't even in photography. It was in other ventures earlier on, of just, you have to believe in yourself a little bit. And that confidence is one of the biggest pieces in making a business out of something. Because if you don't understand it, if you don't believe it, nobody else is going to come lift you up. That's really, really rare. So you have to push forward a little bit.
Yes.
But there's a nice balance where you don't have to be cocky or rude and thinking you're the best or anything like that. It's not really about that. It's just the passion. As obscure of a word as that is, it's the passion.
You said it exactly. Yeah.
But I only interpret it from what you were saying, so don't don't act like I came up.
You made it sound so much better.
I've done this before, so. Well, if you had to start photography all over, I'm going to be nice and say you have the same gear that you currently have today and the same exact knowledge that you currently have today. What would you do tomorrow if you didn't have a website, you didn't have a business, and nobody knew who you were? What would you do first to start your new photography business?
I would call or email photographers whose work I really admired, and I would try to second shoot with them. Because you're going to be building, you need that work. People need to see some of your work to want to hire you, which makes sense. But also, I would just be learning from them, which is awesome. Anytime I shoot with another photographer, I always learn something, even if it's something little. So yeah, that's what I would do.
Do you have a specific approach on how you would actually go about asking or finding out if there's an opportunity to work with another photographer?
Sure. Well, emailing is probably what I would do, but I think in that case, it's definitely helpful to have like some of your work to show them so they can see your work and be like, oh, yes, I want to work with you. So I guess before even emailing, if you had nothing, if you had like no work to go by shooting friends on your own or, just shooting whatever you could to put a little bit of work up there.
Yeah.
It wouldn't even need to be a lot, but having something to show people is definitely super important. So I guess before contacting other photographers to work with them, probably just getting out there and shooting on your own, shooting whatever you can, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. You gotta have something to show, because if you're gonna claim to be a photographer in those early stages, you have to display that. It comes with pictures.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But the reason I ask about the whole way about contacting a photographer is because I get emails every now and then from people who are just starting out asking, oh, if there's ever an opportunity for me to shoot for you or second shoot or assist or anything, please let me know. And that's about it. They just kind of come in and say, if there's anything you can give me, please let me know. Well, there's hundreds of people who I can give stuff to at any time of work, and that's fine. But I don't know. I'm still waiting for that person to contact me and hit me the right way, where it's like, hey, you're the person I'd like to actually try out. Aside from my regular second shooters and assistants, just because they said it eloquently or the right way, where it wasn't only about them. Because I feel like it's a dangerous territory when you're starting out to ask people, hey, can you help me? It's like, wait a second, but you're nobody to me. So,
Right.
So
Yeah.
no offense, but no, I can't. So
yeah.
I guess I'm just looking for that. So I was wondering if you came across an inquiry from someone like that reaching out to you in the past.
I haven't really come across like the perfect second shooter inquiry, to be honest.
That's a really specific thing to be looking for, I guess.
Yeah, but that's really important. Like if somebody mentioned photojournalism or like a documentary approach, and like I could tell that we were on the same page.
Yeah.
That would be good. And also keeping it short, because it's busy right now and I can't read really lengthy emails. So
Right.
Keeping it short and to the point is good.
Very true. So when you're doing your photography, and whether it's with the client interaction or the shooting, do you have an app or internet resource that you think Photo World could benefit from knowing about?
I use a lot of Google Docs these days.
Yeah.
That's how like each couple that I work with, we plan like the photo schedule, and I have like some basic questions that I'll ask just to get to know their day a little bit better and be prepared. So those are great because you can update them in real time, and then I have the app on my phone, and I print everything out for a wedding day, but in case I lose a printout or something, it's all there on my phone. I have all of their information. So that's awesome. That's probably my best I guess app.
Oh yeah, for sure. Anna, you're the 50th episode for Take and Talk Pics, and it's a milestone here.
Oh
and
my gosh!
I think you're the second person who's mentioned Google Docs. You might be the first, but I want to just be safe and say I think you're the second, and that's like my favorite app to use. So I'm glad you brought it up here. It's
awesome.
It saves me. I live on Google. I swear. Like if they go down, I think the world would collapse. So
that's pretty scary. I agree.
So what's one piece of gear that you could not live without? Let's ignore the cameras because we always need that. But is there a lens, a certain type of light, or something that you can't live without?
Oh, I love my 35 millimeter Canon L lens.
F1.4?
Yeah, that's probably the one that I have on the most. And then I also use the 50 and the 85 a lot, but probably the 35 is my favorite.
So just for my own curiosity, are you strictly a prime lens shooter?
I am, yes, I am now. I didn't start out that way, but I've migrated to be that.
Yeah, that's cool.
And that's, yeah.
It's intimidating to me.
Well, it's part of my keeping it simple because, you don't have the option to zoom, so you kind of, I mean, it narrows things down for you. You're using manual zoom, I guess, if you want to like move around, that's your zoom
Right.
going. So I don't
Yeah.
know. It's nice.
I'm always telling my students at College DuPage, oh, you don't have that kind of reach? Take a few steps in, like it's okay to get
Huh?
closer. It's okay to back up,
Yeah.
so you can
Yeah.
change things up. And I love prime lenses. They have such a beautiful look and amazing aperture, which just totally changes the feel, and it's beautiful. I have a few, but I always they stay in my bag, and I'm like, I gotta remember to put that on every once in a while because I'm always excited when it comes out. It's just like I got some good stuff with that. Yeah, why don't I use it more often? So maybe I'm working my way into the change on that one too.
I have been thinking about getting the 24 to 70, which I had a long time ago. It's a 2.8, but
Right.
so I think the grass is always greener.
And I think it's funny when we're talking to professionals and apertures and stuff. Oh, it's a 2.8, and you'd have so many students who would kill for something that wide open.
Sure, yeah,
That's awesome.
that's true. I would have in college.
So, can you tell Photo World about an upcoming or a recent project that you have done or have in the works that you're excited about?
Oh gosh, I'm just super excited for the rest of my wedding season. I've got like some really beautiful outdoor locations. The Pacific Northwest is just beautiful out here. And I've got like a wedding on the coast at a summer camp and some cool like foresty locations. So right now my head is all in weddings, and I'm super pumped to shoot in some new spots, and the weather's been really nice out here. It's been kind of hot, but it's been really, really nice, good light, not a lot of rain. So that's what I'm looking forward to right now.
Yeah. How long is your wedding season? When does it start? When does it usually wrap up?
Um, oh, let's see. This year it actually started in January,
Wow.
and it will wrap up kind of like toward the end of October. So it's gotten a lot longer.
Yeah. It's interesting how different areas of the country have different wedding seasons.
Oh yeah. August is by far the busiest month out here for me. August and September are both pretty busy. But I'm originally from Kansas, and I think it's a little bit more like May, June there because it tends to be not as hot.
Right.
But here it's like the rainy season is usually more May and June, and it's not as hot in August and September. So it is really interesting.
Yeah. This year for me, it's been a bizarre season. It started a lot later than usual. I think it was like April. And then it's pretty loaded in December. So I'm like, I've never had it be full in December. So it's weird. But
that's crazy.
I'm not going to
Like
complain.
yeah, no, it's usually my slower month, and redoing, website and all of that kind of stuff.
Yes. Redoing websites. That's an annual project, isn't it?
Yes, always ongoing.
I always I'm like embarrassed every time I'm sitting down with a new client. I'm like, you're looking at work from a year and a half ago. This is not good.
Yeah, it's impossible to keep it completely up to date.
Which is why people do blogs,
busy.
and it's a really genius strategy to do blogs. I should start doing that. P.S.
Oh, definitely. Yes. But it's hard to keep up even on that during your busy season.
True.
Yeah. You can get just as picky.
Very nice. Well, I've had fun speaking with you, and we're about to wrap it up here. But before we go, could you please share with Photo World one parting piece of guidance, and then the best way that we can get in touch with you, whether it be your website or some sort of social media, and then we'll say goodbye.
Sure. I think parting piece of guidance, something that I've already said, is just be real, be authentic, do what you're passionate about, and people will see that. And Yeah, I'll leave it at that. And my website is my business name, which is Anna Jaye Photography, JAYE.com. And I am on Instagram. My username is Anna_JAYE. So those are probably the two best places to find me.
Yeah. Yeah, and Photo World knows we'll have your links. I'll have your social links and your website link on your show notes page on takingtalkpics.com. Just type in Anna in the search bar and her show notes page will pop right up. But Anna, I cannot thank you enough for your time today and sharing such great value on this milestone episode 50 here. Photo World thanks you, and happy shooting.
Well, thank you so much. I'm excited I got to be here for 50. It was really fun. Thank you.
Photo World, you know I love books, and I know that you love audio, so let's combine these two passions here. If you'd like to get 2 free downloads of books from Audible, go over to the affiliates page. That's under the resource tab on takingtalkpics.com. We have a link there for 2 free audiobooks. Download today from Audible and get motivated. Takeandtalkpics.com. Thank you again for joining us today, and we really appreciate you stopping by. Make sure you share this with your friends and photo family out there. We'll see you next time. This is Rob Kruger. Happy shooting.